Hey guys, my name is Jason. I'm the founder of Distress Loan Advisors. It's been a couple of months since I made a video. There's really not a whole lot going on as far as EIDL loans go, but we're in early July, so I figured I would check in, make a quick video on some minor updates, just in case this is the first time you're seeing me. I'll also cover some of the basics of EIDL loans. So the new information first for people who have followed. I covered this once before, but I'll say it again. They have let go most of the staff, if not all, in the servicing center in Fort Worth, Texas. That means if you try to call them, it's unlikely you're going to get anyone on the phone. And if you email them, people are telling me they are not getting responses quickly. So anything that you need to contact them about, it's probably going to take 3 weeks, a month, maybe longer. And unfortunately, I have no solutions for that. I've even put a thing when people sign up for consultations with me, a little checkbox to say, Jason has no tricks up his sleeve to reach them. So if you're in a emergency situation and you need to contact them, your guess is as good as mine. What I will say is if you haven't paid them in a really, really long time and you think it's, you're just going to pick up the phone and get it figured out, it's not going to happen. And I don't think there's really anyone who's going to be able to help you with that because our federal government has decided that EIDL loans don't require staff to service them. So people are pretty annoyed. In particular, people, like if you just have a legitimate billing error, it's tough to get that rectified because you can't reach anyone. And I always get people who, they never made a payment on the loan for 5 years and then they got a letter and now they want to pay and there's nowhere to reach the SBA. And all I can say is too little, too late. If you haven't paid them in a really long time and they're telling you it's been referred to the Treasury, or you get that 60-day letter, there's really nothing that can be done at that point quickly. People want to know, well, can I just make the payment to bring it current? I would be very hesitant to send them money without at least confirming with someone that they'll be able to reverse a charge off or return it back to regular servicing status. So that's pretty much what we've seen as far as EIDL servicing goes. Now I'll just cover, the basics. Right now, I'm not aware of any offer in compromise that has ever been approved for an EIDL loan. If you sell your business, do it as an asset sale. If you try to sell the business as a whole, they're going to ask you to pay it off. Do not sell the assets without their permission. That's considered to be fraud by them. They could make a referral to the Inspector General. Whether or not the Inspector General is going to do anything about it, who knows? But really, especially when you're talking about low dollar amounts, you really don't want to put yourself in a position where the SBA could make that referral because, who needs that headache? Beyond that, the deferment hardship accommodation program is completely done. They do offer an additional 6 months at 50%. They require you to explain to them why the 6 months is going to make a difference and how you're going to return to regular servicing after that. Essentially, if you need the 6 months, you could tell them what they want to hear. But the point that I make to people is if you're not going to be able to afford this in 6 months, I'm not even sure it's worth paying the 50% because we've been saying for the last 5 years since these loans came out during COVID, like maybe they'll do an offer in compromise. So buy yourself some time. So yes, it'll buy you some time at a reduced price, but beyond that, we're not aware of any other help that the SBA is going to offer. So this is where people are, they're using the term strategic default. So in other words, well, it'll be cheaper for me even if they put me in the Treasury offset program. For them to garnish my wages or or garnish my Social Security or take my tax refunds than it will be to make this monthly payment. Because don't forget, some of these loans are like $2 million. But even for lower dollar amounts, you could do the math. If you have a W-2 job, they can take 15% out of that. So if you 15% of that plus 15% of Social Security plus whatever tax refunds you get, if on an annual basis that adds up to less than the total of your payments, then mathematically that's the cheaper way to go. Now, of course, being a default is a whole different conversation, but most of the conversations I have are with people who don't have a choice. They cannot pay, and they want to know, well, what can I do to rectify this? I want to put it behind me. And at this point, the only possible solution is like a bankruptcy. And you have to qualify for bankruptcy, and there's all different types. So you can talk to a bankruptcy attorney about that. Beyond that, there is no offer in compromise. So the option that they're by default pushing people into is get enrolled in the Treasury Offset Program. When I say enrolled, you don't apply for it. They just put you in it. They slap your Social Security number into a database, and then if you get a tax refund, they take it. If you do business with the government, they'll take it. I had a customer who was a physician, and they got Medicare, Medicaid. They took that. If you're like a government contractor and you have receivables due for work that you've done, they'll take that as well. So it's not that the Treasury offset is without teeth, but generally speaking, it's still the cheapest alternative, because if your monthly payment is $5,000 a month and your back of the envelope calculation says, well, they can take $1,500 a month from me on average, then obviously that's going to be the cheapest alternative. If you're running your business and not paying them, it's unlikely that the SBA is going to sue you. They're not going to force your business to close or anything like that. So there's plenty of people out there who are continuing to operate their business. You're not doing it with the SBA's blessing or anything like that, but because the SBA, their collections on this are pretty lax, and like I've said many times before, they're not suing people outside of fraud. That's what I've seen. I'm not saying they can't sue you. I'm saying I'm not seeing them sue people unless you're one of the people who committed fraud, like you took the money and you bought a beach house or a Lamborghini, or you put it all on red in Vegas. In that case, there's nothing I can do to help you. You made your bed, unfortunately, you have to lay in it. But beyond that, people like, Jason's Pizzeria or whatever, if they don't pay, you'll get letters and they'll send it to the Treasury and you'll be placed in the Treasury offset, but they're not going to show up to take your pizza oven. So it's actually an option just to continue to operate. It really, it's not an ideal option, but there's people doing it. And, if you work for yourself, you take a minimal salary, you're not old enough for Social Security, and you never get a tax refund, it'll actually probably have a pretty minimal impact on your cash flow. They could report it to your credit. Right now, they're not reporting it to your credit. Why? I don't know. Why did they fire everybody in Fort Worth, Texas? Probably because they just don't care anymore. Politically, I don't see anything out there as far as forgiveness, discussions of forgiveness, waiving interest, anything like that. It doesn't seem, and this is not political at all, there's no Democrats or Republicans that I'm aware of that are talking about any of this at all. So I would say, the likely scenario here is either you pay it or it goes to the Treasury. Those seems to be the two choices outside of bankruptcy. They don't seem very eager to work with people on reduced payments on a long-term basis. That's it. Look at that. I jabbered on for 8 minutes, and there's no new info. So that's it. Thank you for checking in. If you want to schedule time with me, there is a link in the notes below, or you can go to jasontees.com or just Google Jason EIDL help, and I'm pretty sure I'll come up. Thanks for checking in, and I'll see you on the next one.